Hello, and welcome to Mind Your Head, a space for people to share their stories, talk openly and honestly about their own mental health challenges, and to give some listeners some comfort in knowing you're not alone. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we record this podcast, the Gubbi Gubbi people. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to all Indigenous peoples. We honour their enduring connection to the land, waters and culture, and recognise their invaluable contributions they make to our communities. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. This episode is proudly supported by True Protein. Use the code MindYourHead at the checkout to score $25 off your next order. This episode is brought to you by TLC Recovery Centre on the Sunshine Coast. Head to TLC Sunshine Coast, use the code TLC15MYH to receive 15% off and experience it for yourself. Well, welcome to Mind Your Head, mate. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on today. Massive fan of yours in the work that you're doing, and a lot of the themes that we've already spoke about, but you speak about really resonate with me, and I'm sure it's going to resonate with a lot of listeners today. And I'm really excited to dive into all that. But firstly, how are you doing?
Well,
how's
really
the mind, the body, the spirit? How's everything going?
The mind, the body, spirit's really good, and that's because I'm in alignment with all the things that I value in life. You know, first one would be family. You know, checking on all my children, making sure me and my partner are really great. My granddaughter's healthy. So when all those things are in alignment, my spirit feels good, and all that's in alignment right now.
You say you have a granddaughter?
Your
granddad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually with her this morning because they were at my house. Then I left and came straight to the podcast.
Oh, wow. What's that feeling like?
It was surreal when I first found out that my daughter's pregnant. There was actually a lot of my old story and even pain that showed up in that experience of her sharing with me. And I was like, and I went into 3 weeks of trying to control her and telling her what to do. Thankfully, my daughter has lots of courage and she's very strong, and she stood up for what she wanted, even against, even though it was against what I actually wanted and thought was best for her. You know, I moved through that, and since that moment, you know, I've softened into it, and now it's one of the biggest and most beautiful blessings that I have today in my life.
What I want to chat to you about is fatherhood, being a father, and something that there's little bits of me that I'm terrified about, just because of how I was fathered and how my father was, and some of the little things that he. There was one time where I was I would have been like 12 years old, and my mum and dad were fighting in the kitchen. Nothing like unhealthy. It was just an argument, and they were fighting for a while, like arguing about something for a while. And like we finished dinner, and they were still arguing in the kitchen. And I went out and watched, a game of cricket, and on the TV, the cricket finished. They were still arguing. Walked through the kitchen, had a shower, got out of the shower, walked through the kitchen again. And they were still arguing. And I remember saying to them, guys, can you please stop fighting? And Dad turned around and said, we're not fighting, you idiot. And Dad didn't know this, but I struggled at school learning wise. I actually thought I had learning difficulties. I could do sport. Sport came naturally for me. Like I could fit in, I could pick it up, but like learning, I just struggled. Like I couldn't pick anything up. All my mates were so good. They were getting B's and A's and stuff. And I was like scraping through with a C-. And I was like, why do I struggle so much with this? And I internally thought I was dumb. I thought I was stupid, and I never told anyone this, but I was like, fucking hell, like I was so insecure about going to school. If we had PE class, if we had sport, fine, I was all good. But if we had some assignments due or whatever it was, I just was like, it was the worst time ever. So when Dad said that to me, I was like, fuck, he knows I'm an idiot too. Like he knows. And like, he regretted it straight away. I could see the look on his face. Like he regretted it straight away. We cried about it and moved on. Well, I thought I moved on. But it wasn't until like years later, like I'm 34 now, I only started dealing with it when I was 28. And my partner at the time, my wife now, she was like, why do you always put yourself down for? And I was like, I don't know. Like I've always been like, I'd always call myself an idiot before anyone else would. Like I'd always say that I'm no good at anything before I've even tried it. Like I'd always just fail before I even tried anything. She's like, why are you always like that for? And I went and chatted to a psychologist about it, and we pretty much trace it back to that moment, like that 20-second moment of regret from my dad. Manifested and snowballed into me doubting myself through so many years of my life, through so many things, that the reason I probably stayed with footy longer than I should have, because I was so scared to try anything else, because I was always like, I'm a failure, like I'm dumb. And those little moments that I'm terrified about, because Dad made a mistake, all good. Like, we're all going to make mistakes. Yeah. I'm terrified about making a mistake that's going to impact my kid long term, like what happened to me. And I actually kind of felt like embarrassed that something so little like that impacted me so much later in life. So Jordan and I talk about parenting a lot, and I'm doing so much work about not being in a position where I react like that. Like, I'm terrified of like just snapping. Like, they're probably arguing about money. Like, we didn't have a very easy upbringing. Like, we had everything we needed, you know, in terms of like safety and food on the table, but it was no means like we were scraping by. Like, a lot of times we weren't having presents or birthday presents or Christmas presents, but we still like went on holidays and like went camping and stuff. So there's little moments like that where I'm like, how do I not let that happen? Yeah. I'm terrified of letting that happen.
Yeah. Like, we can definitely... Are we on the podcast right now? Or?
Yeah, brother.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. Fuck, we're started. Let's go. Bro, that's really good. I love that you talk about this, and it's something that I've navigated as a father myself. You know, there were so many things that I was terrified and I didn't want to be, and I was so terrified and so focused on not being those things that I actually became those things.
Oh, right.
So then when you sit there and you say, I'm so terrified to become this type of father, it's like, hey, cool, let's acknowledge that, and we can even unpack that. But like, let's come to the opposite side of that and say, okay, if that's what you don't want, what type of father do you want to be?
Yeah. I haven't really thought about that. I'm always like so focused on not being that person or not having those sort of situations arise. Yeah. I actually haven't given a thought about how I want to be a father. Yeah. I've always focused on what I want to correct rather than what I want to implement.
Yeah, absolutely. And for you and I, in every single area of our lives, bro, what we focus on grows. You know, we've both been footy players in the past, and if I wanted to get good at a certain area of my footy, when I was solely focused on that, I got really good at it. It's the same thing, same concept here. Okay, cool. If I keep focusing on what I'm fearful of, that's going to grow. And when my child arrives, I'm going to implement that unconsciously.
I feel like that is already happening with me, though, because all the information that I read, all the podcasts that I listen to, all the books that I read about parenting, I'm reading them because I don't want to make mistakes. I'm not reading them to maybe be a better father. I'm reading them to not make mistakes. Yeah. You know, that's what I'm more focused on, is not make mistakes, you know. And I had a seminar with Gabor Mate. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Gabor. Yeah. So I did a VIP sitting with him where you get to meet him and ask questions and stuff. Yep. And one of the questions was, I asked him was, how do I not pass down trauma to my kids? Because my dad had a really, really terrible upbringing with drugs, alcohol, a lot of abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, a lot of sexual abuse. And Dad changed the physical things in terms of there was no alcohol in the house, there was no drugs in the house, there was no violence in the house. Our house was very safe in terms of you can come home and feel relaxed. But I think what Dad didn't deal with was the emotional side of growing up that way. He suppressed a lot of his feelings, a lot of his emotions, never talked about it. Like even my mum was like, he's never spoken about his childhood. Yep. He's just buried it. Like, he just wanted to move on from it. And what that happened for me growing up was I seen my dad and my mum maybe not be so vulnerable with each other, or maybe with each other, but never in front of us, never modeled it in front of us. So if they had issues, they would just hide it or not talk about it or pretend like it didn't happen. So me growing up, I realized like, if I've got something going on, I just got to bury it, not talk about it, pretend like it didn't happen. And that festered in a way where I wasn't comfortable talking about emotions. I wasn't, that wasn't comfortable or wasn't normal for me whatsoever. And I think that led me down a path where, especially when I was playing footy and dealing with my anxieties and dealing with my emotions and handling stress, handling pressure, like all those sorts of things, I just buried it and buried it and buried it. And then I'm not too sure if you're, accustomed to the footy culture where it's just like the party, the drugs and alcohol. I found drugs as a remedy to how I was feeling and almost a coping mechanism. And that led me down a terrible, path of sort of drug abuse, and I knew that it wasn't good, but at the same time, it was the only thing that was making me feel better. I didn't know how to regulate my emotions. I couldn't put words to my emotions at all. Like, I just couldn't associate with anything. And, I had a terrible, about 10 years of drug abuse and meanwhile trying to play professional footy too. So it was just like counteractive. And I said to my dad, he came on the podcast, and I'll make you a deal. You tell me everything that happened in your childhood, and I'll tell you everything happened in the last 10 years that I kept from him. And he was like, yeah, deal, righto then. And he told me, like, because we didn't butt heads, but there was always friction there. I didn't understand him. I didn't understand why he got triggered by things. I didn't understand why he reacted to certain situations. I didn't understand who he was, because he never talked about his childhood. Like, I would always be like, why is dad like this? And then mum would say, oh, he had a bad childhood. Why don't I know my grandparents? Why don't I know my uncles? Like, why don't we ever go back to New Zealand? And when we do go back, we never see dad's side of the family. Like, how come I don't know any of them? Yeah. And he came on the podcast and he was completely honest and told me, like, it's pretty, he's like, what rating's your podcast? And I was like, mate, well, you can say whatever you want to say. And he's like, righto then. And it was brutal. Like, it was very, very emotional to hear that, these things happened when he was a 6-year-old all the way through to 18-year-old. Like, all the things that he was witnessing, his mum was getting raped, and like he was getting tortured by his dad. Like, so my grandfather tortured by his dad, and, putting nails in their school shoes to go to school, like just sadistic sort of stuff. Yeah. And the more he was talking, in my own head, I was thinking to myself, I get it. Like, I get it why you're like this. I understand you a lot better. And I told him about the things that I went through where, I contemplated suicide for, 3 or 4 years. And then one night I tried to, and I hid it from him, hid it from my parents, my friends, didn't tell anyone about it. And I think that episode with my dad was like, a lot of people ask me, like, what's been, the most impactful episode that you've done? And the one with my dad, hands down, because yes, we got to know each other a little bit, but the aftermath of that conversation, he's a different person. I'm a different person with my dad. He's a different person in general. Like, he's a bit more softer, gives me hugs and kisses. He doesn't take life so seriously. He takes the piss out of himself a little bit more. Like, I think there was a burden or weight that he was carrying. Like, he's 69. This all happened when he was 5 years old, up until he was 18, before he moved to Australia. So, there's 50 years of suppressed emotion that he was carrying this whole time. Never talked to anyone about it. And even my mum was like, what did you guys talk about? And I really listened to the episode, and she was like, oh, I will listen to it. And I said, why is that? And she goes, he's a different person. Like, he's come back home and he's a completely different person.
Yeah, what a courageous thing for you, both you and your father, to do. And I'd say probably more so him, because of the long standing life that he had of not sharing, but then to sit in a room and share all that stuff with his son. I also think it's a beautiful example to all of us, when we bring understanding into the picture. And what's one way of bringing understanding? By sitting and sharing. Your heart softened, his heart softened, and that load that he's been carrying, that you've been carrying, was less, and you were able to start to enjoy life and connect on a different level. So it's like, this is what sitting with other people can do, and being completely, totally open and vulnerable. It's something you didn't experience as a child, but you're now practicing as a man. Yeah. Then we come back to, okay, cool, I asked you earlier, okay, what type of father do you want to be? I'm hearing that you want to be really open and vulnerable and have emotional depth to you as a father. It's like, okay, cool, let's start focusing on those things and having those types of conversations, listen to those podcasts, because then that's going to grow and you'll become that father.
Absolutely. And I think about those sorts of things. I was like, what didn't I have that now I want for my kids to have in terms of a father figure and a role? And like you said, then having that emotional, those deep conversations with my kids. When I was going through like puberty and stuff, and all these heightened emotions are coming through, and like, I had no idea what they meant. I didn't talk to anyone about it. I just thought this was normal. So they're the sorts of things, like you just said then, like I talk to Jordan about it all the time, and I felt kind of, I was really scared to have kids because I didn't want my kids to go through similar things that I went through. I was like, I hope I don't pass anything on to them. I was like, I hope, hope they don't have the struggles that I went through, like in terms of school or figuring things out and about emotions and stuff. And Jordan said to me, well, even if they do, isn't it a good thing that you've been through it yourself? So like you've got similar experiences, like how to talk to them about it. And because you didn't have it, they're the things that you want to change. And I was like, well, I guess I am lucky that I have gone through that then, because then I can sort of help them deal with it on their own, in their own ways.
Yeah, I agree, bro. And I say this often to parents because this is quite a common theme that comes through. People are fearful that I don't want to pass on all the things that hurt me. And I say to people, there's zero chance that you're not going to fuck your kids up. I said every single one of us are going to do it, whether we've got all this knowledge and even all of this practice. And that what we need to instill in our children is resilience.
Yeah.
So, and a way to build resilience is like, let them fall over. And then when they look up, you're standing beside them to say, I've got you. Then also let them stand back up again. And through the falling over and standing back up again, they build resilience inside of the safe space of mum and dad in a home, so that when they go out into the big world, they've got all this resilience to go, okay, I can navigate that, and I can navigate that, as opposed to mum and dad saving them. They'll go out to the world as adults and go, I don't know what to do because I've not learned how to stand back up again.
How do you, I know you physically when they fall over, but when they get to like a teenage years, when they're going through like, relationships or breakups or anything like that, how do you navigate that space where you got to let them? Do you tell them what to do? Do you give them advice, or do you sort of like encourage them to make their own choices and back them?
Yeah, I would say listen.
Yeah,
and then ask open-ended questions for them to explore. Because now they're being heard, and then you're prompting questions back for them to understand themselves, as opposed to what we mostly do as parents, like, I need to fix this so they don't experience all this pain. No, let them feel all the pain. Let them navigate all the pain and process all the pain, because if they don't process it now, they're going to hold on to it. It'll be stuck in their bodies, and that pain will show up tomorrow and next month and next year and keep controlling their life. Whereas if I as a parent can sit here and just simply listen and allow them to express all the things going on, they're going to process all of that, and then they get to live the next moment and the next moment and the next moment. And at the same time, when I prompt open-ended questions back to them, they're now exploring what's actually going on to them, so building more awareness so that they can be more aware in all the coming moments as well.
How tough is it to let them go through pain and suffering though?
Yeah. I think it's tough when you don't have an understanding of the outcome.
Okay.
Because I used to be the fixer, and the fixer still shows up in me. But now I have an understanding of what I'm prompting right now. I'm like, okay, I actually want my kids to go through that, so that they can learn to process, build this resilience, and understand themselves on a deeper level. I've got 3 adult children now, and actually I was about to say 2 of them have been through heartbreak. 3 of them have now been through heartbreak. The first one I was like, I don't know what to do here, and I try to fix everything. The second and definitely the third, I'm like, okay, cool, what's going on for you? Okay, and how is that making you feel? And what do you need from me? As opposed to me assuming I know what they need and meeting them at that point of what I think they need, and then maybe even completely missing the boat of what they actually needed.
Are the outcomes different when you instead of you telling them what to do or advising what to do versus you sitting with them, listening to them, hearing them, and letting them sort of make their own decisions? Are the outcomes different, do you feel?
Yeah, for me it's been different.
Yeah.
And I felt like when I was the fixer, I'd actually press them further away.
Oh yeah.
And there was actually more disconnect. I'm like, hang on, I'm supposed to be helping here. Why are you moving away from me? Yeah. And I don't even think they were consciously creating distance. It's like at a subconscious level, they felt unheard. And so they were still holding on to that pain they didn't process. So therefore, through that, created disconnect. Whereas the opposite is like, okay, just sit, let them express, let them explore. And then the following days and weeks, it's like, I feel more connected to them as opposed to disconnected.
I could sit and listen to this forever. You've opened up so many, powerful conversations lately. Is there an emotion, a thought, or a feeling that's sitting heavy on your heart lately?
That's a really cool question, bro. Heavy. Probably not so much heavy. No. There's lots of beautiful things that are going on in my life. I'm very grateful for all the things that are going on in my life. So yeah, when you prompt that question, even on some moments of reflecting, nothing really heavy comes up for me. So I'm very grateful for that too.
Yeah, nice. I'd love to get a little bit inside of your own, childhood and what life was like for you growing up as a young boy.
Yeah. Bro, my life was very chaotic, lots of violence, lots of pain and hurt. You know, a little boy that constantly felt unheard, you know, not seen, unloved. You know, both of my parents were there physically. I felt like I was always chasing my parents, more so my dad's love, because I was a mother's boy, I was a mummy's boy, always very close to her side. She was very nurturing, so I'm very grateful for that. But I chased my dad's love, and you know, look back, and comparison was a really big thing for me, and something I had to navigate as an adult, because I have a brother who's 16 months older than me, and he's very talented, very smart, very emotionally regulated, and I was the complete opposite. So I was the one, you know, always getting told that you're the naughty kid, you're so angry, getting in trouble for all the things. And the opposite end of the spectrum, I've got a brother who's 16 months older than me. He's like, you're very amazing at this, you're the best at this. And I was like, hold up, what's going on here? You know, my experience, I felt like I was treated differently. So as an adult, you know, when things weren't, there was no equality, that would trigger me. And it actually wasn't the equality that I was facing in that present moment as an adult. It was triggered the little boy who wasn't treated evenly. So that pain would come up, and I'd start reacting in my adult life too.
What was the relationship like with your brother?
Amazing, bro.
So you always got along with him?
Yeah, like we
despite.
despite.
Yeah.
I look back and I'm like, fuck, one of my biggest heroes in life is my older brother.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, there was some resentment from me toward him for all the accolades and encouragement and words of proudness going towards him. But at the same time, I just admired him and adored him so much. And he was always the mirror for me, like, that's who I want to be. And still to this day, I look at my brother and say, fuck, you're amazing, bro. We have conversations mostly daily now. So we've got a very strong relationship.
Yeah, that's beautiful, because the wedding last couple of weeks ago, my brother's similar, my older brother's similar. Like, he was always so patient and caring, and he was always just wonderful at talking to people and sparking conversations, but he was also, he didn't let fear hold him back in anything that he did. Like, he was always so motivated to chase after his dreams or to try new things and to go travel by himself. He'd traveling by himself to Europe, went to Canada by himself, lived there for 5 years. Like, he was so outgoing, confident, whereas I was the complete opposite. Like, I let fear control me all through life. And he was always so loving and caring for me, but I probably didn't show it back to him because I was always so jealous. And I told him, like, I wrote him a letter. I wrote him a gratitude letter. I gave it to him at the wedding day because I knew that he didn't feel maybe that I loved him as much as I should have or I needed to. But I always did. I always loved him. But I was always comparing myself to him. Why can't I be more like him? Right? And I wrote him a letter, and I had to let him know that, like, you may have felt like I didn't love you, but I always loved you. I just named all these things that I loved about you, and all those things I wasn't. So every time I was around you or people would talk about you, like, I felt like he was never not good at anything. Everything he tried, he was always so talented at it. And I'm like, where the fuck? Pass some of that down to me. So that connection there, and I was a very emotionally immature person during my 20s where, why couldn't I just tell him that? Like, why couldn't I appreciate my brother for who he is rather than me being jealous and almost resenting him? And it's taken me a point of now, I don't know what happened, you know, when the male brain turns 30 or when it's fully developed, but it got to that point where I had to really evaluate my life and why am I pushing this person away? And not only am I pushing him away, he's not pushing me away. Every time I push him away, he's coming back with more love and appreciation, and he's trying to always call me and hang out with me. And he's never once got pissed off at it. He's always says, I love you, Al. Gives me a hug. And I'm like, fuck, why is it? I can never get rid of him. And I don't know why I wanted to get rid of him, but I was always sort of envious and jealous of him. And I had to tell him, like, 2 weeks ago, I wrote him a letter. I had to explain to him that it was all me. It was more me trying to deal with my own stuff, not you. You've always been the perfect older brother, someone that I've always looked up to and admired, and, you know, someone that was almost my hero. Like, everything he did in life, I was like, how are you always like that?
Yeah, hard, bro. I often speak to grateful the spaces that we hold and that I'm a part of. People are really open and honest, and I think jealousy is a really tough one for people in particular men to talk about because there's lots of shame connected to jealousy. And I say to people, when jealousy shows up, it's a really strong indication to whatever it is that you're jealous about. That person's a beautiful mirror to show you what's actually inside of you that you're not stepping into yet. So rather than looking at it from that place of like, fuck them, it's like, thank you for showing me what I'm yet to step into, and then choose action and step into that so that you can become the thing that you're jealous of.
And that's probably one of the lessons, one of the big lessons that Sam, my brother, taught me was his ability to handle fear, and not only handle but push through it and not let it stop him from achieving things. So I clung to rugby because I knew that I was good at it. So it was almost became an ego thing, because why would I want to try anything else? Because I know I get that almost that external validation I get from playing footy. I'm always first picked. I seem like I play well all the time. So why would I want to try something new and start from the bottom again and be shit at something? But that's one of the biggest lessons that my brother taught me was, it's 9 times out of 10 when you try something new, you're going to be shit at it. And it's having that confidence and knowing that it's okay that you're going to be shit at it. Everyone's shit at something. Like, you don't always have to be good at something, Elliot. And I'm like, I've always been good at footy though. Like, why would I want to start again? And that's the biggest lesson that Sam taught me was, once you try something new and you fail, it's not the end of the world. You're not going to die. Nothing like that happens, right? And then you get more confident failing. And during that confidence, you find success through that. And I always had a passion, not a passion. I always wanted to know what being an actor would feel like. Because when I was very creative, but I was always, like I said before, I was always scared of showing my creative side. My dad's a great drawer and a painter and does a bit of welding art and stuff like that. And my brother's in photography and videography. And I think the creative sort of gene runs through the family. But I was always afraid to try something. I did acting classes, right? And I was like, I wonder what it would be like to be an actor, learn lines and that sort of thing. And I was like, oh, fuck this. Sam's always telling me, like, just dive into it. Like, just who cares if you suck at it, just dive into it. And I did, like, acting classes. And I, within, like, 2 weeks, I had to, like, prepare a monologue and go up on stage, right? And I remember, like, not thinking too hard about it. Like, Jordan helped me do my lines and I had to do, like, a couple of paragraphs. And then I got to like the classroom, and behind the classroom was a stage, and I had to get up on stage. And before I got up on stage, I've got like my monologue here. I'm looking down, and I look up, and there's all these people in the audience, and I'm like, how the fuck did I get here? Like, what am I doing here? But it was such an important moment for me because I did it. I did the monologue. I was terrified, right? And I got off stage, and the other actors and stuff, they're like, oh, good job, well done. And I'm like, oh shit, maybe this isn't the end of the world. Like maybe, diving into something that you're scared of, maybe it's not a complete failure. Maybe it's just like another stepping stone. And then that moment there encouraged me to try things that I'm scared of. And it's opened a doorway, even like starting the podcast, terrified of starting the podcast. Like I would never have done it if I didn't try that little acting bit out, because it made me realize like, yeah, it probably wasn't for me, but I was so proud of myself that I went and did it and didn't hold me back. Yep. And then when I stepped into this, I was terrified of this. I was like, I don't know, like, what are we going to talk about? Are people going to like it? Like, who's going to come on? Had all these like insecurities and worries about it. And then once I started, I was like, oh, I love this. Yeah. This is the best. Yeah. And it's been a massive lesson that my brother taught me, is just don't let the fears stop you from trying new things in life.
Yeah, absolutely. So many people are afraid of failing because they're afraid of what other people will think.
Yes.
A quote that I read just the other day, and that I try my best to live by, is if you were told that you're only 10 more failures away from all your dreams, how quickly would you fail?
As quickly as possible.
10 times today.
Yeah, absolutely. Straight after this.
All your dreams. Yeah. Well, that's actually factual. On the other side of that final failure, all your dreams, but we don't step into that fear because we're so worried about what other people think of us.
So we're not worried about us failing. We're worried about failing in front of other people or what they think.
Yeah. So my worry of what you might think about me is holding me back from what I desire and dream of in this lifetime.
Wow. I've always asked my guests, what are your 3 non-negotiables for living a healthy and full life? For me, it's movement, community, and good nutrition. I've learned that what you fill your body with plays a massive role in how you feel physically and mentally. That's why I use True Protein. They're an Aussie brand doing things the right way. Clean, natural supplements with no artificial additives or fillers. Everything's made in-house in Sydney's northern beaches using the highest quality ingredients sourced from around the world. Whether it's supporting energy, improving focus, or reducing fatigue, their products genuinely help me show up better every single day. And just like Mind Your Head, they live by values I stand by. Be true, be you, and take care of your whole self. What emotions did you speak about in your household growing up? Was I know talked about my sort of childhood was that emotional side of connection with my parents probably wasn't where it needed to be. Yeah. Was that similar for you?
But there is not one conversation that I can recall in my childhood where we specifically talk about emotions.
Really?
Not one. And if I give you, I guess, an insight to how emotions were navigated in our household, you ask every single one of my siblings, bro, the one sentence that's most familiar to us is, I'll give you something to cry for. The moment we shed a tear, bro, we'd get a hiding.
Oh, right.
So we learnt really quickly, you do not shed tears, you do not express emotions. There's only two emotions in our house, bro, and that was happiness, and if you're not happy, anger. But when our old man's around, you do not show anger, you just shut down and shut your mouth. So there's only two emotions, but we didn't express anything. I do not recall one conversation that we had about emotions.
Were you an angry child growing up?
Yeah, I was, bro. I
You
was
were?
very angry. 5 years old, I got enrolled into school, and I think it was maybe 3 weeks in, my parents got a call, and they said, your son must attend the school counselling. He's got to go into one session a week. There's also this anger management program that he needs to go into, or else he can't be here anymore. At 5 years old, I was told I have to, or I'll get expelled from school.
And was that anger because of the environment growing up?
Yeah, I mean...
did you hate your dad? Or was there any hate towards that?
Look, at a surface level, I hated my dad. I wanted nothing to do with him. But get to the core, I actually loved my dad so much, and I just wanted him to love me. And he did his best to love me, from what he had been shown from his dad. So I look back and, we talked about you understanding your dad and his childhood now. I now have that understanding of my dad's childhood. I'm like, fuck, I have so much empathy and love for you now, even for the way that you parented us. Because, man, you did an amazing job considering me, considering what you went through as a child. So I was angry, bro, and I look back and my dad expressed anger in a real unhealthy way. So I learned to express anger in a real unhealthy way. And also I was a little boy who just wanted his dad to say, I love you, or I'm really proud of you, or pat me on the back of the head. And not getting that consistently and frequently creates pain inside of me. And all I knew was, remember happiness? Well, when that's gone, anger. And I only know how to express anger in one way, and that's in a really unhealthy way.
Did you rebel?
I was very rebellious.
Were you?
I was always told that that's the kid that's going to end up being this or being that, or in here or in there or in gangs, whatever it might be.
Nothing what you are now.
Yeah, look, most of my teenage years, bro, I was very blessed that I didn't end up in a jail cell or, in other environments that could have amplified that rebellion in me.
Could have easily gone down that road.
Yeah, I mean, rugby saved my life. My having a son, very early in my teenage years, saved my life. And then, this work that I do today, really understanding all my patterns, has 100% not only saved my life, has created a life where I thrive in now.
What's something from your younger years that still influences you as a man today? I talked earlier about the fixer, bro. Yeah.
Me and my partner were talking about this only a couple of weeks ago. I still do my best with a consciousness that I have not to fix things, but I still have this tendency to want to go and fix things. And when I get to the core of that, it's because I want these people just to love me. And that comes from my childhood. I wanted my dad to love me. So when I help people or fix things, then he'll love me. So therefore they'll love me. It's so subtle today, but it's still
there. Because I felt the same thing, because I was always, as a young kid, trying to seek that external validation. Because I didn't know who I was, but I saw who was getting attention. I would almost change who I am to fit the situation or the scenario, so I would get attention. It was almost putting a mask on. So, if girls liked that band, I would suddenly like that band. Or if girls like this, or if that's a popular person, I would mold myself to that person. And just constantly changing, the situation to try to get that attention or validation. And I think that was one of the key things where I lost my way, because I didn't know who I was. I got to 25 and I went and saw a sports psychologist, and we're talking a lot about rugby and dealing with anxieties and pressures and performing and that sort of thing. And she asked me a simple question like, who are you without footy? I couldn't answer that question. I didn't know where to start. I was so lost of Elliot, the footy player, because if it ended right now, who are you and what would you do? And it took me a while to figure that one out, and I'm still trying to figure that out. Till this day, I'm sure. Like I wake up a lot of mornings going, a simple question is, who am I?
Yeah, I think this for me anyway, and this has shifted and changed for me. I think a more powerful question to ask is, who do you want to be? Because who are you makes you go back in the past and start to explore versions of yourself.
Yeah, it does.
And a lot of the time, those versions actually weren't you. It was what your environment or your culture or your parents projected onto you and told you who you should be. It's like, hey, let's pause, and rather than working out who you are, who do you want to be? And that takes us to a forward focus. Oh, shit. And does that mean if I can ponder this question, I could actually create who I want to be? Yeah, that's exactly what it means.
You have all the freedom to choose. Was there a moment where you were wearing masks?
Oh, bro, 100%. There's still days that it shows up today.
Yeah.
I'll notice I'm in an environment, I'm like, oh, there's a mask there. Okay, that's me noticing. Trying to seek validation outside of from people, so I put on this performer mask.
Yeah, right. Still to this day.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. 100%.
So the work never stops.
Yeah, and that used to trigger me. I'm like, when's this shit going to stop? When am I going to be fixed? When am I going to be better? Yeah. And it used to drain, like, oh man, I can't keep doing this. But it now excites me. And why it excites me is because I changed my lens, and the lens now is like, if this is a never-ending journey, that means I can keep growing and creating a new version of myself. That's really exciting to me. So all I did was shift my lens from that past tense to future tense. And I was like, that's really exciting for me.
I love that, because that's something that I've noticed too, is I always thought it was going to be a destination. I was always destination driven. Always, I got to make this team. I've got to, I've got to make this. I've got to do that. I've got to reach that height. Yeah. I was always so destination driven, especially in terms of getting through my mental health journeys. I was always like, I just want a good mental health. Like, I just want to be there. I want to be happy. Yeah. That'll be it. And something that I've learned is it's more so a direction rather than a destination.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what can I be like doing things that's going to help me, benefit me in the long run, and head towards that direction rather than going, where's the finish line? I want to be there already.
Yeah. A lot of people think that they'll come into a workshop or a program that we facilitate at MEND, and they'll think, I just need to fix this and I'll be good. My mental health will be great. And I explain to the brothers that our mental health is a journey, and the analogy I come back to is, we can go to the gym. If I go to the gym 5 days a week for 7 months, I'm going to be fairly fit. I said, but if I stop that gym for 2 months, do you think I'm going to remain fit? And the answer is always going to be no. Not sometimes, it's always going to be no. And it's the same thing with our mental health journey. In this journey of this program or this workshop, this retreat, we're going to learn things, and that's all they are. We're going to learn new things to implement. And it's through the implementation and consistency of that my mental health stays really healthy.
So let's talk about that, the MEND movement. What was the catalyst to starting that?
Yeah, so the catalyst was my own journey.
Was it? Yeah.
I lived in a mindset or a mental health space of like, everything's fucked. It's they did this.
Victim mentality.
Blaming everyone, bro, poor me. Find myself in bed for 2 weeks and just did not want to get out. And the thoughts were like, if they didn't do this, or if this didn't happen, which kept me stuck. And I'm very blessed when I look back. There were some places and spaces and people that I connected with, through God, that helped me to shift that. And through the shifting of that, I gained more knowledge and more wisdom and more understanding of myself. And I was like, fuck, more people need to know about this. More men need to know about this. So, we started with just brothers catching up, really close friends. We're like, oh, next time you come, bro, all of you bring a mate. And quite quickly, it started like wildfire. And I think the reason why it started like wildfire for us is because the demographic of men we were calling in. We weren't calling in the common men in self-development spaces. We were calling in gang members. We were calling in men that come straight out of jail and going, oh, hang on, all those dudes over there with tattoos on their face, you know, and a dude with 1% written on his neck, he went to that workshop. Fuck, maybe I can go too. So then we gave permission to all that demographic of men to say, fuck, let's start looking into this. And then you start sharing stories of these really strong and tough men opening up, and they're like, and then I just, you know, my family's better. My children are more calm around me. My partner or my wife says that she likes being around me now. And when you start sharing stories like that, so many men resonate, and they're like, fuck, okay, maybe I need to go to that thing.
Is it incredible to realize that how many men are actually suffering in silence?
Yeah, bro. I think it's even more so than even the statistics. You know, we all know that there's a plague out there of men still not sharing. And I believe there's a big shift happening. But I think, you know, from my experience of being in this space for, you know, 15 or 16 years, that it's actually still larger than we give credit to.
There's always been like that term like toxic masculinity. How do you define healthy masculinity?
I would say a man who really understands and knows himself. You know, and if we just want to give a one word or one line answer, is a man who's able to regulate his emotions in all situations. You know, can I regulate myself in the road rage? Can I regulate myself when my partner's nagging me for 3 weeks straight? Can I regulate myself when my children make really bad decisions that may reflect back that I'm not a great dad? If you can do that, then you're a really healthy, strong man.
How do you regulate your emotions?
Through practice.
Through practice.
Yeah. So I've got, you know, certain steps that help me to regulate myself, in particular when in conflict. And I don't wait for the conflict to show up to go, oh, I hope I do that. I practice that process every single day. And ensuring that and it can only be like a 1 or 2 minute practice whilst I'm in the sauna. And then my body and mind have so much experience of that practice that when the conflict actually shows up, boom, it happens automatically.
What's involved in the practice? Is it breathing? Is it?
Yeah, bro, really simple. You know, people want to overcomplicate the work or self-development. But it's like the first step is actually breathing. Okay, when I'm sitting in the sauna, I'm just going to practice 3 deep breaths. And that ensures that my nervous system's regulated. Okay, the next step is, am I present? And the way I ensure that I'm present is I use my hearing or my sight. So right now I see it directly down the camera. There's an orange cord on it. Just focus on that orange cord for 5 seconds. It ensures that I'm here and not back in any other experiences that my body might have taken me back to. And the next step is listen. Okay, can I actually practice listening? Next step is to validate. Because you'll find that most conflict is actually dissolved when the other person is actually just heard. They might want A, B, and C, but below the A, B, and C is, can you just listen to me, please? So when I validate something, and how I validate people is repeat back to them what I just heard. And the next step for me is go to my heart space. And why do I go to my heart space? To check in if I actually need to speak in this moment, or am I okay with exactly where I'm at? Because often in the past, I'd only speak just to make that person wrong again, which takes me back into the conflict cycle. And the last step for me is to reconnect. And the reason why that was so important for me is because throughout my entire life, when we've had conflict, I didn't know how to reconnect. Why didn't I know how to reconnect? Because I watched 2 parents who didn't practice or show us how to reconnect. I would sweep shit under the carpet and go, hope that's okay. 3 weeks later, we're fighting about something that we didn't navigate here because we didn't reconnect. So those are my steps, bro, and I practice those.
Every single day?
Well, there was an 18-month period that I did not miss a day.
Yeah.
And I did it in the sauna for myself every single day. Why? Because there was a point in my life where I realized I was actually really still terrible at it. You know, I had all this knowledge and all this wisdom and nearly zero practice. So the practice was helping me to be that when the conflict actually showed up.
And when the conflict showed up, you're at a place where you're present and understanding and can accept it without the ego involved.
I'd practice it so much that it started happening automatically without me even thinking about those 6-step process.
Really? True? Can confirm.
You know,
that's beautiful. I love that.
Someone asked me the other day, what are you most proud of, bro?
Yeah.
And yeah, there are so many things that I'm proud of in my life right now. And the first thing that came to mind, and even after reflection, the answers still say the same, that I'm a fucking good partner now. Because that's all I ever wanted in my life, was just to have a healthy, beautiful relationship. And I've wanted it so many times, and there's been times it was the complete opposite. But I can wholeheartedly stand here today and say I'm a fucking good partner.
What
and that didn't
changed?
just happen. What changed was I got really good at navigating conflict in a healthy way. What changed is that I started to understand myself and therefore take responsibility as opposed to blame and project onto the other people. Like, well, it's your fault. What did you do? What part did you play? I turn the fingers back and say, before, say, okay, what part did I play? Where could I have been better? Where did I not show up where I know I needed to show up? So, there's some examples of what changed inside of me. Nothing changed in the external world. Everything changed inside of me. Therefore, my external world started to change.
That's beautiful, because I think that's something that I went through with Jordan earlier on, where I did a lot of blaming. I'm only like this because you did that, and it took us a while to understand, and she's been so incredibly patient and understanding, and allowing me to go through my own struggles and figure it out. And I stopped playing because of the head knocks. I got too many head knocks, and I noticed my mood swings were changing. I noticed I was very forgetful. I was very irritated. And Jordan started noticing this, and I had about 3 or 4 mental health episodes where I completely lost it over. I think Jordan left the fridge open, right, and I lost it. Angry for 3 days. She's an angel. She's the most sweetest person you'll ever meet in your life. And then I would get angry because I'm getting angry, and I'll just go around in a circle again. And it happened about 3 times over the course of a few years. And Jordan sat me down. This is about 5 years into our relationship. And Jordan sat me down, finally calmed down, and Jordan sat me down. She was crying, and she said, look, there's something up. And I said, yeah, I know. I've been procrastinating it for a while. She goes, I can take this. I can handle it. But I'm not letting this be the standard for our kids one day. So if you want to be a father and if you want to have a family, you search for these answers and you figure out what's going on, because I don't want our kids to go through this. And she gave me an ultimatum pretty much. She was like, if you want to grow and get better, I'm here for you. But if you don't, see you later. And it was like the biggest turning point that I needed. Back in my head, I always knew that I needed help. I needed to figure out what was going on, because, it was the head knocks. That could be a reason. But I had feeling that like this even when I was a kid, like growing up, I was always, my mood swings, I could wake up in the morning, I could tell if it was going to be a good day or a bad day. And, I went to a concussion clinic down in Sydney, did some brain scans. I was terrified of having some sort of early stages of CTE. And then I was recommended to a psychiatrist, and then we went, we worked through a bit of a journey there where they put me on a spectrum of bipolar and just outlined all the symptoms, all the things that I was feeling and thinking, and it was almost a checklist. Like, do you do this? And Jordan was there, and I was like, oh, I don't do that, do I? And Jordan's like, yeah, like pretty much confirming it all. Yeah. And it was such a rush, even though getting diagnosed with that could be confronting and a little bit overwhelming. It was actually a really beautiful moment when I can sit back and go, all that makes sense. All the dots, we're connecting all the dots, and I can understand that now. And now I don't look at it as a burden or something that, oh, damn it, like poor me type thing. I have my own checklist of things I need to do. So if I'm starting to feel like a little bit out of the mood, Jordan's like, have you had that sauna and cold plunge yet? And I'm like, no, not yet. She's like, go get one. Have you had a workout yet? I was like, no, I haven't. Have you gone for a swim at the beach yet? No. So we have like a bit of a checklist of things that I can do. And before, I would just let it consume me. 3 or 4 days, I'll be in a shit mood. I'll be a shit boyfriend, shit partner, son, brother, whatever it is. But now, straight away, I have a checklist. And within a couple of hours, I'm back to being me again. And it's almost a good excuse for me to do the things that I love anyway that make me me and the pillars that I have. But yeah, the understanding of the blame game and not pushing it all back on her, because she was right the whole time. Yep. She was completely right the whole time, and I had to surrender to that. And I even look back at my past relationships, and it's it's not always good going back and understanding why that happened the way it did. But I can comfortably say my past relationships, the reason they broke down was because of me, and that I'm not being too hard on myself or anything like that, or want sympathy. I can completely understand that I was the main problem in all those relationships, why they broke down.
Yeah. Well, if the same problems are happening in, say, 3 or 4 or 5 different relationships, and you're the common denominator, more often
chances
you're
are,
the problem.
yeah, big time.
Yeah.
But I would always like project that on someone else.
Yeah,
I'd
same
always
as
do
me.
that.
Yeah. You talked about the fridge earlier that triggered your, 3-day outburst of shutdown and all the things. I want to quickly speak to that because I'm sure there are many people, maybe men, that will resonate with this because how often do you share with people and they're like, oh, it was the dishes or it was rubbish bins or it was the fridge. And the fridge was just the trigger. It's like, okay, what was below that? And I always ask people to reflect back over the last 24 hours. What was going on in that last 24 hours? And if nothing came in the last 24 hours, last 48 hours, and then 7 days. Because there were patterns inside of that time frame where something was happening that was actually building inside of you. And a common example that I could use to explain this concept is, our partner did something and I didn't speak up for myself. And then she did something else and I didn't speak up for myself. And this happened 5 times. And on the 6th time, the fridge was left open and I completely lost it. And everyone's like, why did you blow up? And now we're navigating the unhealthy explosion around the fridge being not closed properly. And we're actually not navigating the thing. And the core of it is like there's a person here who didn't speak up for themselves. And now we connect that back to your childhood. There's a little boy who tried to speak up for himself and got told to shut the fuck up or got shut down. So in these moments as an adult, these 5 experiences of not speaking up, you're actually shutting yourself down. So that little hurt boy shows back up again. And then the fridge, kaboom. And it was actually all the pain that the little boy experienced when he was shut down as a child.
That was my childhood. Is it always that simple? Those little triggers are actually things that you haven't dealt with years, decades earlier.
So when you say, okay, that was my childhood, potentially that might have even been the trigger to the fridge for you.
Well, I'll share something actually that I haven't really shared. Is I always felt disconnected from my family. When I left school at 17, went into the army, moved out home straight away, finished the army, got a contract playing footy, moved away from the sunny coast, moved away from home, always lived by myself, lost that connection with mum and dad and my brothers. And during that time that I was away, I still wouldn't barely talk to them. I wouldn't even tell them how footy's going. I wasn't close with my family, even though my mum and dad are close, my brothers are close, they're close with each other. I was always felt like an outcast. And I think they were never doing that to me, but I made myself the outcast. And I would never share with them deep and personal things, but I've already talked to you about. That's why I got Dad on the podcast. I would never it would always be arm's length distance. It would be surface level stuff. And during this process of me trying to figure out these certain triggers and who I am and why I'm like this, I traced it back to a time where I was 15 years old at home and I was getting bullied by one of my brother's friends. And the bullying was pathetic. I don't think the bullying got me. I think what got me was my brother knew about it and didn't do anything. My parents knew about it and they didn't do anything. And I had to stand up for myself. I got a knife out and was threatening them out of the kitchen. And I think that moment there, I thought, they haven't got my back. Whether that was their reality or not, that was my reality. So what manifested into that was if I had anything going on in my life, if I had good things going on, my parents and my brother would be there for me, all good. But if I was struggling, if I needed someone to have my back, because of that, because they didn't have my back during that time, I just knew in my head, I was like, well, they're not going to have my back, so I'll just deal with it by myself. And I almost, because of that, I didn't let them in. Because I was like, what's the point? They won't be there for me.
Yes.
So what's the point? And I grew up thinking like that. And I didn't know that I was manifesting that. I didn't know that I was snowballing into this big issue until I got to 30. And I was like, why don't I have a close relationship with my parents? Why do I keep pushing my brother away? Why do I keep pushing my family members away? Why don't I open up to them? Why can't I speak to them about these things? Why do I always just pretend like everything's okay? And it was because of that trust. I didn't think they would have my back. I didn't trust them.
Yeah, bro. And it's, that the example you're giving right now is just one experience.
Mm.
And an experience is just an experience until we bring meaning to it.
Mm.
And what I heard you say is the meaning that you brought to that experience was they don't have my back, which then flowed out to they, as in the world does not have my back.
Yeah.
So you learnt, okay, because the world doesn't have my back, I'll stand on my own 2 feet, I'll do everything alone. And no one gets close to me. Why? Because I'll experience the same embarrassment or pain that the 15-year-old version of you experienced in that they don't have my back's experience. So maybe you've already navigated this, but it's like, okay, what you made that mean for you was they don't have my back. So what does having your back mean to you today?
Being there for me when I'm going through a tough time.
Yeah, beautiful.
Being present for me, holding space for me, checking in on me, making me feel important or making me feel like I'm not alone. Whereas before I always felt alone. I didn't expect anyone to reach out because I didn't trust anyone to reach out. I didn't even like little gestures and coming around and just having a chat, like I never had that. I was always me by myself, and it's something that I've even navigated with Jordan now. She's like, we had a conversation not too long ago where she said, it would have been probably the start of the year. She said, do you have trouble letting me in? And I started crying, bawling my eyes out. And she sat there and just let me cry, and she was like, why do you have trouble letting me in? And I told her that exact story that I'd never told her before. And I said, because I've never let anyone in. And when I did earlier on, it got met with letdown, embarrassment. No one was there when they had an opportunity to let someone in. No one came.
Yeah. Can I give you some advice on how you could get closer to your wife?
Please.
I just want to quickly take you back to when I said, what does having your back mean to you? And the 2 words that stood out to me was presence and important. So if I was to ask you right now, what is or who is the 3 most important things in your life today? What would they be? Or who would they be?
Easy ones. First one comes to mind would be Jordan.
Jordan?
Absolutely.
Yep.
My family.
Family? Yep.
Does it have to be people?
Anything or anyone?
Because I struggle with it for a long time, I think love for myself.
Beautiful. So Jordan, family, and love for yourself. Amazing. At any stage through that pondering, I love that you said love for myself. Did you ponder to maybe put that your love for yourself at number 1? And I just want to reflect back again. You said having my back, which is really important to you, is presence and importance, them making me feel important. So because of the way you ordered that, when Jordan or your family doesn't make you feel important, you're like, and it triggers you.
Big time.
When you move yourself to and bring importance to yourself and your own world, you meet that unmet need. Okay, I'm important, so I don't need Jordan or I don't need my family to make me feel important anymore. When they do, it's added value, it's not needed value.
So I make
grounded.
myself important.
And we can do the same thing with presence. You said, I just want them to be there for me, be present. Okay, cool. How often are you consciously practicing presence for yourself in your own life? Or is that presence for your family and Jordan always? So another little simple practice, when you can practice and put yourself at the top of the list of importance and practice deep presence with yourself, you're going to be more embodied in connection, having your own back, that you'll be able to gift that to your marriage and to Jordan. Therefore, you'll create more connection and deeper connection.
Is it okay to put yourself first?
Is it?
Above your partner and your family?
Yeah. My question back to you is it?
I never used to. I never used to at all. And I think that got me into, I think that can only last so long. And I think not putting myself first got me into a world of hurt. And something that I realised is I always felt guilty for putting myself first.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll give you a scenario that I feel like you'll resonate with because, you've been a professional footy player. Were there times in your life where your physical training fell away and even your healthy eating fell away and you felt shit about yourself and those Jordans at the top of the list, family, and you treated them like shit?
Yeah.
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 And you think of the opposite end of the spectrum too. When you've put yourself, your training, and you've been in alignment with your training and eating healthy, you feel good. Therefore, these people that are really important to you, you treat them amazingly. So that's just one scenario. We can go through scenario after scenario after scenario. When we put ourselves at the top of that list, people get the overflow of my own self-love as opposed to the empty parts of me going, oh, I've got a little bit left for you. And when there's nothing left, who do I snap at? The people that are on the top of that list. So let those Jordan and your family receive your overflow because you now put yourself at the top of the list.
Wow. She's gonna love hearing this. This episode is brought to you by TLC Recovery Centre on the Sunshine Coast. Whether you're chasing peak performance or just need to reset, TLC has everything you need. Infrared saunas to help detox your body, reduce inflammation, improve circulation and calm the nervous system, leaving you feeling lighter, clearer and more recovered after every session. They've got cold plunges to reduce inflammation, boost mood and mental clarity and build resilience. They've got compression boots to speed up muscle repair and massage therapists who know exactly what your body needs. But what really sets TLC apart? The people. The owners are the kind of good humans you want in your corner. Down to earth, genuinely care and deeply invested in the local community. Head to TLC Sunshine Coast, use the code TLC15MYH to receive 15% off and experience it for yourself.
One thing since the moment I walked in the door, Brian, I just want to acknowledge you, and I acknowledge all men for this.
Yeah.
When I sit with men who speak about their wives or their partners in a really beautiful way, from the moment I walked into the door, bro, and since we've been sitting here, you've only spoke beautiful things, and I can feel the energy behind your words. So I just want to say it's really nice to sit with another man who speaks beautiful things about his partner when she's not here in the physical presence.
I've got nothing, but because she is honestly, I get a little bit emotional talking about it because we did get married a couple of weeks ago, but she's changed my life.
Yeah.
She challenges me to be a better person every single day. The reason that I am who I am right now, I put a lot of it down to the woman that Jordan is. Even though there's a 7-8 year difference between us, she's wise beyond her years, and I've got nothing but all the love, and she's always been my biggest supporter. Always encouraging me to do things that I'm always scared to do. Yeah.
That's beautiful, my bro.
A little bit emotional for about it. We've done enough crying in the next couple of weeks. I think what's been one of the most incredible things that you've witnessed during some of your workshops that you've done?
Bro, father-son processing is really beautiful to experience and watch. And that happens often in our rooms where we have a father and a son come in and we'll set them a task or a practice and they lean into it, and it often triggers the entire room.
Really?
And what that says to me is there's so much fatherhood wounds walking around in this world that are then projected out in relationships, probably the most. As fathers, it was like when we can take ourselves back to our own child and go, oh, there is still a lot of hurt and pain between me and my father. And when I heal that pain, that's going to help me to be a better father. That's going to help me be a better partner. But seeing those play out, I had this exact experience with my father.
So you've had that moment with your dad?
My dad came to one of our workshops about 7 years ago, and that changed mine and his life and deepened our connection on the most beautiful level.
Really?
I also had the exact same experience with my son, my eldest son, who's now nearly 22. When he was 16, he came to one of our workshops and we had a very similar experience. And for me, there was lots of healing because, on a surface level, I was doing my best to be a great father. But, now with my knowledge and understanding of self and the father I am, And I look back and I'm like, fuck, I have compassion for that father because he didn't actually know what he was doing. He was doing his best, but he was actually projecting a lot of his childhood hurt onto his children.
So were there common themes between you and your dad and then you and your son?
Very.
Really?
And I guess the theme that I'm speaking to directly right now is my dad physically hurt us, all of us children. But I've never hit my children. But when I looked at my son, I realized he was just as scared of me, as I was of my dad, and I've never hit him. But it was the energy that came behind my words toward him was the exact same energy my dad hit me with, and when he hit us with his fists as well.
So just because you took away the physical, the energy was still there.
But it was masked with me taking away the physical. I was like, I don't hit them. Little shit should be grateful. Fucking hell, I went through all this.
I went with it way worse than you.
But I was doing the exact same thing to my children. It looked just a little bit different.
Why do you think so many men struggle to open up, especially in safe places?
I think the ultimate one is we're just deemed to be weak when we do so. And the sad thing is men will play in that space and just test it, and they're fucking put down. Social media is a big one. How often do you see men being open and then the comments are like just so, oh fuck this, fuck. It's like, well, of course that man's now going to go back into a shell, and it's going to be even more difficult for him to step back out into the space of opening up to get out of him what's hurting him and how he's projecting that and hurting the world.
I had a clip posted where a guy was talking about his mental health struggles, and a guy commented on it saying, you think you've been through the fucking worst, you should see what I've been through and stuff like that. And I was like, firstly, it's not the Olympics for who's gone through the hardest life. Your pain is relative to what you've gone through. Your 10 out of 10 might be the same as that person's 10 out of 10, but they've gone through different things. And also you're making this stigma stronger by commenting like that, by judging men for opening up. You're just making it worse. The cycle just keeps going around.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it just ends up in a big cycle of comments.
Yeah.
And the way I believe we can meet that is just like with more love. Because trying to argue or get points across is just amplifying the shame that men are already feeling from stepping out and being belittled for it. So it's like, just meet people with love.
You've given so many people the permission to be vulnerable and to be seen. Is there a moment or a person that gave you that permission?
Yeah. There were two people, and I've spoke about the first person on a few other podcasts, and that was a school teacher of mine. He got me out of a lot of trouble. He stopped me from being expelled. And there's a second person I spoke to my beautiful partner about, a really good friend of mine who's exactly 20 years older than me. He was actually the guidance counsellor in my last year of high school. And he's seen me at my worst, bro. Like, he's seen me after I've smashed houses to pieces through not being able to control my anger, and never came in and judged me. He just said, come on, let's go for a walk. And we'd sit down and he'd say, what happened? Talk, get it off my chest, waiting for him to say something to make me feel wrong. And just say, okay, cool, thank you for sharing. And that was it. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? This is the moment when people say that I'm a fuckhead or you're so wrong and all
Give
these
us a
things.
flogging or something, yeah.
But I'd sit there and he'd just meet me with like, thank you for sharing, bro.
How did that feel?
It felt very unfamiliar and unsafe.
Did it?
And I was waiting to be made wrong. And then over time, I started to build this new story like, oh, fuck, I don't have to put on a mask or pretend to be someone around this dude. And still to this day, I was only talking to him a couple of days ago. My son's actually over in New Zealand now going to visit him.
Oh, really?
He's a fucking great man. So these two men, and what they ultimately did for me, bro, was listen to me. They didn't try to fix me. They didn't try to tell me this was right or this was wrong. They just listened to me.
Me and you both got our own versions of healing. What do you say to men that think they don't need to go through their own healing? I don't know if you've come across many men that are in denial or pretending like they don't need to heal from something.
Yeah, I would just honour them.
Oh, yeah?
For exactly where they're at.
Yeah.
Because if I try to tell them that there's something that they think they're not right now, that's going to press them further away than to what I believe. Because it's only an assumption that what I'm saying from my projection of the world. So just honour them for where they're at. Oh, cool, my bro. All good. Because, even in my experience, if someone had told me that you need this when I didn't believe I needed it, I'd be like, fuck you.
You push against even harder, 100%. Don't you? Yeah.
So just honour them.
Just honour them. Because time will they'll come around at some point.
Yeah, well, probably not even time. The point that they'll come around is pain. Most men will, okay, I'm fed up with my own shit. This pain is too much to continue to carry. I need to look into this now.
So pain's the ultimate motivator.
unfortunately, for most men.
Because I'm going through something right now with a good mate of mine who's very self-destructive, knows that he's self-destructive, knows that he's got addiction issues. Talk about it all the time. Doesn't get anywhere. He keeps repeating the same thing, calls me the next day. Talk about it. Why do I keep doing this for? Knows why he keeps doing it, but keeps doing it. And I'm like, well, what's got to give for you to change? You know, because for me personally, what you just said then, I needed to hit rock bottom. I needed to go through pain for me to change. I needed to get to that point where it is going to be life or death for me, for me to switch my mindset and go, no, hang on a second. Like that was my turning point. Did you have a rock bottom? Was there a turning point for you? Did you ever get that low?
Oh, there's been times that I didn't want to hear, and I attempted suicide, yeah. Two very important, probably pivotal moments where I was in so much pain was my son being diagnosed with cancer in his eyes and brain. So that really sent me into a spiral, and I could have just continued to be angry, or I could have looked for a shift, and I had to look for a shift. There was no other option for me. And then a marriage breakdown. It was like, okay, cool. You know, I talked about being the common denominator. I'm like, fuck, it was the same problems. I'm the common denominator here. Okay, I'm going to work out what's actually going on. So those were two pivotal moments for me where I was like, okay, I'm going to work out who I am, why I do these things, so that I can start to create the man I want to be.
How is your son now?
He's the 22-year-old in New Zealand. So he's only got one eye. He's got 60% vision in his other eye because he had tumours in his good eye. He had laser treatment, he had chemotherapy. So he spent the first 2 years of his life in hospital. Remember, I was a 16-year-old dad too, who had no understanding of self, trying to be a father to this new baby who's been diagnosed with cancer. So my world had been turned upside down. I remember when the surgeon came out and she was coming out to tell us whether he did have retinoblastoma or he didn't, and whether he was going to lose his eyes or not. And
you were 16?
Yeah. She came out to the hospital, bro. I had glasses on, like shades, because I didn't want no one, because I was upset.
Yeah.
Hadn't cried at this point. She confirmed that he had retinoblastoma and that they had to take his right eye out and potentially his left eye in the next week. Otherwise, he's going to die. And you know those movies where everything just goes blank and you're just standing there, you can't. That was me, bro. And I just stood there. And after she said that, I didn't hear anything else. I could hear people talking around me. All my family was there. And I just felt tears rolling down my face. But I still didn't want people to know that I was crying, so I wiped it. And I went and sat down for the next hour or so, bro. My whole world was just blank. I couldn't, everything was blurry. But it was in that moment that when I came out, I was like, fuck, man, I don't know what to do. And that turned my world upside down. So I started to go on this journey of, okay, how can I start to understand things a little more? I want to change. I don't want to keep living this life of anger. Did
you have someone to lean on, during those times? Were you close to your mum?
Yeah, bro. My children's mother's mother. Yeah. The most supportive person I know.
Oh, really?
Amazing. Yeah. And she has been an absolute rock for me. Because for a majority of my children's life, I actually raised them myself. But she was always there. And then my two parents were amazing too, bro. The moment we called them and said, hey, Jarvis is not well, bro, within hours they were there.
Really?
You know, my mum took us up to the hospital and she was demanding answers. So we had a really strong group of people around us that supported us. Yeah, absolutely. I would have fallen apart without the people around us. Oh, yeah.
What has fatherhood taught you about yourself?
Really open-ended answer would be that how insignificant I am, but also how significant I am at the exact same time.
Expand.
Yeah. Well, insignificance, around that, the little things that I used to dwell upon actually don't matter that much. And it was these beautiful children that helped me to see that. And then significant around, everything that I do, say, and ultimately be, these children are going to become. So, there's the insignificance and there's the significance. And I'd probably like to focus more on the significance. If I want my children to live a different life, I've got to start living a different life. And probably the biggest one for me was I want to ensure that my daughter has a healthy partner and that my sons become healthy partners, the things that I wasn't for most of my life. Okay, I try to teach them through words and words and words. But when you look across and you've got a dad who's still blowing up in relationships, telling people to fuck off then, they're actually learning that more than they are the words and the things that I'm trying to teach them. So I realised that, it's less about what I say and even what I do. It's more about what I be. And I'm experiencing that in present time right now. My children are mirroring back to me what they've learnt.
Really?
So there is shifts happening for them,
Yeah.
which I'm really grateful for. I've done a lot of work on myself, and I'll continue to. And there's big shifts that have played out of me, and I'm now having to support my children to navigate the things that I navigated back then because I imprinted it on their souls.
Are your sons very similar to you?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I would say they're a lot more calm and regulated than I was, especially at their age.
At their age, yeah.
Probably in particular my youngest.
Yeah.
He got a different version of a dad than my oldest did. There's only 6 years difference between them. Not even that, sorry, 5. But he got a completely different version. My older son still sits there today and he's like, how is he getting away with that? So they are similar. I see lots of traits in them that I'm really proud of. And there's some other things that I'm like, I get to support them now to help them move through that.
How's it navigating the dating scene when you've got a daughter? Does she bring home guys?
So my daughter's had 2 partners.
Are they similar to you? Are they opposite to you?
The last one was similar to an old version of me.
An old version of you?
Which I didn't like.
You didn't like him?
Well, I didn't not like him. I didn't like the behaviours or the way my daughter was being treated.
Okay.
And I've said this in another podcast, I'm grateful for my awareness because I could have sat there and projected and said, he's this and he's that. But rather than doing that, I turned the fingers back and said, why did she end up with someone like that? And ultimately that was here.
Oh, right.
The ownership was back here. Okay, cool. So if I want that to change, rather than press on them, I actually need to press on myself and become a different version. And slowly but surely she has seen that. She's now no longer in that relationship. She's in a really healthy relationship. And that her partner, bro, I like him. He walked into my house the very first time and all the things that I would want a partner to do, respectful, hey, my name is, share, all the things. He was. I think the thing that stands out for me is, my granddaughter. Yeah. He's very good with her. And children will never lie. No. We'll all be sitting in a room, bro.
Yeah.
And if all of us are calling out to her, she will go to him, not 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10.
Really?
Which says to me that he puts a lot of energy and presence into her. Otherwise, there's no way. She's 1.5. She don't care what we all think. I'm going to the person who gives me the most attention.
Yeah.
So he's great, bro.
I love that. Because I had Joe Williams on the podcast. He used to play NRL and boxer and that sort of thing. And I was chatting to him about fatherhood. And he said to me, one of the pieces of advice he gave to me was, kids don't listen to what you say. They watch how you live. So live accordingly. Like if you want your kids to act a certain way, if your kids want a certain lifestyle, like you've got to embody that. You've got to model that to them. You can't say one thing to them and then you're doing something else because I'm sure it's true, they pick up and they see everything.
Yeah. Our children become familiar to, therefore safe in our energy. And behind my energy is thought patterns, feeling patterns, and behavior patterns. So even if they don't see what I'm doing, they've become so accustomed to that energy that they become those thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. So, often parents will say, but the kids don't see that stuff. They don't need to see the stuff. They felt the energy, they become familiar, they become safe in it, and then they embody all those things behind that energy.
We've got quick fire questions to finish, so you can answer these as quickly or as long as you want. If you could sit down with your 16-year-old younger self, what would you say to him?
Shit. There's many things I would say to him. But ultimately I would just let him know, bro, that everything's going to be okay. Because I was at 16 was that version I was talking about earlier. He was so hurt and so much pain and so much dysfunction in his life. And he just needed someone to grab him and say everything's going to be okay.
What makes you happy?
When I'm doing all the really simple things in life, like going to the beach, like going for walks, training, eating healthy. And then the reason why that's important to me is because then I look up and I'm present with my family. Family is number one for me, bro. There's been a lot of part of my life where friends became more important than family, work became more important than family. Thankfully, I've come back to myself and I now live by what I value, and that's my family.
Is it hard to navigate that space of we all want to work, we all want to support the family, all those sorts of things? Is it hard to say work's number 3 on the list, family's number one?
Well, my partner's my number one.
Partner's number one? Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, what? Your children are below your partner? I said, yeah, because they're looking at that relationship and that'll become their version of their relationship, aka love. So, and you know what? Then I come back with, even remove my children. Yeah. I remember as a little boy, all I wanted was just to be in a really healthy, loving relationship. That's what I wanted the most. Yeah. So now that I've got that, I value that so much that, you know, obviously I'm at number one, and then my relationship, and then my children, and then the work that I do. Yeah. You know, a lot of people will say, "Oh, your work should be here." I'm like, "No, bro, that's your version. I love all these things. This is my order." Yeah, because I'm going through something at the moment where, you know, we'll start trying for kids soon, and I work away in the mines, and I meet a lot of guys up there that, you know, they're like, "Oh, trust me, mate. As soon as you have kids, you'll love coming up here." And I'm thinking, "What do you love? You love going away from your family." Trust me, you don't understand. When you come up here, you get your own space, your own time, you get to sleep. Like, honestly, it's heaven. I'm like, mate, this isn't heaven. Like, you know what's heaven? My life back on the coast. That's heaven. I don't want to be like that. And they're like, trust me, like, when you have kids, you'll understand. Yeah. You know, are they projecting their own, you know, not hate for life, but they've got some shit at home that they're not happy with? Potentially. Yeah. And I always say when I hear that, all I'm doing is hearing that from my perception of the world. Yeah, yeah. So it's like, oh, for me, that wouldn't be heaven. Maybe that is their actual truth. Yeah. You know, for me and my understanding of self and healing and trauma and all the things, I would say there's things that they're avoiding, and running away to the mines is helping them to avoid that thing. But you know what? That's only my perception. Yeah, yeah. That could actually be their truth. Yeah. How does someone overcome trauma? I know that there's the word trauma that doesn't always have to be, you know, someone's passed away, you've gone through, you know, a traumatic incident like that. You know, for me, I think trauma for me was someone not having my back, someone not feeling the love, worthiness, whatever it is. Yeah. Meet the unmet needs that cause the trauma in the experience. There was an experience that caused trauma, and inside of that experience, there were unmet needs. Start meeting those needs consistently and frequently, you'll heal the wound, aka heal the trauma. What's one conversation you think every man needs to have with himself? Who do I want to be? Yes. Really powerful, but really important ponder that I think all of us men should be constantly looking into. What's the most powerful emotional lesson your child has taught you? Love is not a reward. Love that. What did you need to hear as a boy that you never did? I'm proud of you. When you look back, what moment tested you the most, mentally, emotionally, spiritually? Relationship breakups, bro. Really? Hit you harder than anything else? Yeah. For me personally, you know, I sometimes share, you know, experiences like the one with my son, and people are like, a relationship breakup was tougher than that. For me, it was. Why is that? Why are relationship breakups so tough? Is it because of that personal, you know, you pour your heart and soul into it? Yeah. For me, you know, yes, I was navigating the hurt and the pain of the relationship breakup. But what had actually happened is, you know, this person leaving had triggered and brought to the forefront all the childhood trauma, all the childhood wounds. So that's why it was so tough for me. You know, all that avoiding I'd done for most part of my life was just all brought up in one big experience. Wow. So that's why it felt so heavy. Who's your hero? My old man. Old man. My brother. All of my children, and I don't like to separate my children, but my oldest son. You know, he's got every excuse not to do the things that he does in his life. You know, I say all men should challenge themselves and get into the ring and fight. Ultimately, because their ego gets put on the line, and most men don't like their ego to be tested in case it gets squashed. And my son has every reason not to fight, and he gets into that ring and he fights. Even against his dad not wanting him to fight for his safety. So he's a hero of mine, bro. Last one, bit of a tricky one. Finish this sentence. Being a man means? Being emotionally regulated. Love that. Do you have a question for me to finish? You don't have to. No, I've got a question. You got a question? Go. What are the 3 words that come to mind in regard when I say about you being a great father?
That's a good one. The first one easily that I've thought about a lot is being emotionally regulated. I would love to have conversations with my son or daughter at a very early age about dealing with emotions, letting them feel comfortable enough to come to me and talk about their problems, talk about what's going on in their life. I do not want them to hide anything from me or feel like they can't share anything with me. You know, I don't want to be that parent where, like that person was for you. I think it was that teacher was for you, where you're waiting for them to sort of tell you off or anything like that. Because I felt like that with my dad. Yeah. I was waiting for them to here it comes. Like something's going to happen. Like I always feel guilty before anything happens. I never want to project that onto my kids. I always think about I would love for them to look at me as a best mate, to come to me if anything, need any advice, if they just don't need advice, if they just want a space to talk and to regulate their own emotions. That's what I would love.
Yeah, beautiful. That's beautiful, bro. And I would say, to add to that, don't wait for your son or daughter to be here. Become that now through practice.
Thank you, brother.
You're welcome, my bro. Thank you.
I have got a closing tradition of the podcast where I get family and friends. They sent in questions for the guest. So we've got a couple for you.
Yeah, sweet. Who, from your family and friends or mine?
Mate, yours, brother, not
sweet.
mine.
Interesting. Now I know.
What do you know?
Oh, the other day she goes, "Is this the podcast you're doing?" And in my head I'm like, all I said was, "I'm doing a podcast tomorrow." How did you work it out?
How did you know that? So we've got obviously Erin, your beautiful partner. She sent in a question for you.
Hey babe, my questions to you today are around peace. This has been a topic of conversation between you and I a lot, but also a lot of our close friends lately. So my first question is, what does peace mean to you in your relationships today? And how can we keep creating and nurturing that peace moving forward?
Love that.
That's a really good question.
Beautiful.
What does peace mean to me inside of a relationship? Is both of us being fully seen and fully heard in all of our views of the world. How can we nurture that? By doing all the things that we're already doing. We have certain weekly and daily practices that both my partner and I practice, and I think we're now pretty embodied in. And I think that holds us through and allows us to keep amplifying this peace that we've built with each other.
What does peace mean? Does it mean a lot of people search for happiness and they want to be happy all the time, or a peaceful relationship doesn't mean there's no challenges or arguments or fights or anything like that. That's all part of a healthy relationship in your eyes?
Yeah, absolutely, bro. We have disagreements. I guess a way to sum that up is like, how often are we regulated? Because the opposite of peace for me is dysregulated. And I know that really well. But I'm also getting really well connected to peace, aka being regulated more often than not.
Yeah.
There's not been a time where I've been so dysregulated that I've said things or done things that I'm not proud of inside of our relationship. Yeah. And I practice regulation, so therefore I practice peace.
I've got one more for you. I've got your father, the man.
He rang me and said, "How was the podcast?"
Oh, I did.
Now everything's starting to make sense. I was like, "Dad never asked me about podcasts."
Like, that happens so much. I got someone's mum, and she was like, "Good luck on the podcast today," and she's like, "What? How did you know that?"
Bro, I was like, "How does she work out whose podcast I was on?"
Do you know the question?
I don't.
No, don't know the question. This is from your father.
Watene, in life, growing up, and as the person you are today, how did you know mental health was going to be your passion? How did this all start for you? What have been your obstacles to get where you are now?
Good questions.
I didn't know.
You didn't know?
I didn't know that mental health was going to be a passion of mine. I didn't know it was going to be something that I would do in my adult life. But how I got to it was, I turned my pain into power for myself, which then became a passion to support other people. And I genuinely now know that this is my purpose. So I've experienced, so many levels and the depths of pain. That helps me to know, because I turned it to power, it became a passion, and now it's my purpose, bro. That's why I've been put on this earth. And I had to experience all that pain to connect with people on an experiential level, as opposed to something I just learned in a book.
Were you ashamed of the pain that you went through?
Used to be, yeah.
Really ashamed of it?
100%. I used to hide it from everyone. In any relationship that I was in, I was like, I don't want to tell them this part. I can't share this part because that's really embarrassing, and they won't love me. They'll leave me if they know all these things about me.
I had a conversation with Jordan not too long ago, and she could see through it, but what I was doing in the relationship without knowing that it was almost performative. I wanted her to see me as Superman. Because she had known the mental health struggles that I went through, I didn't want her to think that I was going to slip back into it. I didn't want her to think that I was unstable. So I would hide bad days from her, fearing that she was going to be thinking, he's going to slip back into it again. So I was almost performative, where I was like, everything's all good. I can handle everything. I'm Superman. And she saw right through that. And she was like, stop trying to be perfect. The reason I love you is because of the imperfections. I know you're not going to, I know you have tools in place. I know that you're not the person that you were. All right, I need you to be real with me. You're having a bad day, it's fine. Like, let me in, and that was, we're dating for, 7-8 years now. And it has taken me that long to finally let the person I love the most in.
Yeah, bro. Jordan sounds like an amazing woman.
She's come on the potty.
and secondly, I think that's a really important thing that you've just shared, because how many other men are experiencing the same thing? And I'll say to them, it's the performance that breaks down the relationship. So when you can move through and let go of the performance and get to what's actually going on for you, that's what will make your relationship more healthy and more beautiful, and all the things that you truly want.
Love that, brother. Again, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been so good connecting with you and getting to know you on a personal level. So much admiration and respect for you, for the man that you are, what you've gone through, the work that you're doing. I can't speak highly enough of you. Thanks again for coming on.
You're welcome, brother. Thank you for inviting me on too.
That's right, brother.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, all good. Thank you. Thanks so much for listening to another episode of Mind Your Head. If you'd like to support the show, be sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcasts. It really supports the show and helps others discover us. Don't forget to join us on Instagram and TikTok at mindyourhead.podcast.